Alright guys, I want to start this video off saying thanks to the overwhelming support I got on the last video. I have never in my life, I checked my Gmail this morning and I had like 8 new subs, and I checked the video I last put up and it had like 200 views and 11 likes. I've never had that much support before, so I want to say thanks for subscribing and for joining. I've never asked anybody to subscribe. That's a free will choice on your part. So the fact that you did that on your own, um, I don't know, it kind of made me feel good. But I do want to tell you and warn you that if you are subscribed to me, you're probably not going to get my videos, so it's really no point in doing that. I checked over at a friend's house to see if my videos were actually showing up on his feed, and they weren't. And he's been subscribed to me for a while now, so yeah, I don't think it's going to make any difference if you subscribe to me or not. Basically, I'm doing this for archival footage for YouTube because, you know, if somebody has a question in the future of the Illuminati card game, I want there to be, you know, something out there that's not just covering what everybody's already covered, but basically covering the whole thing. And the reason why I'm doing this, you may want to know, is because there's very, very few cards that have not been played. So basically what I want to do is cover up all the ones that have been played, and then my last video will be dealing with the cards that have not been played, so that maybe you can get a clearer view or a heads up on the future and what the plans are for the future. So without further ado, I'm going to start, I believe this is part 5 of the Illuminati card game. I'm going to start today off with the ATF, or the BATF card, which is now known as the BATF-E, Bureau Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Now what I want you to notice is in this picture here we have a guy who's smoking a cigar with a gun on his back, holding a can of beer. What's interesting is again, these cards were printed in 1995, and he's looking over his shoulder at what appears to be an exploding building. That's interesting because the ATF didn't become the ATF was alcohol, tobacco, and firearms until 2003. They didn't become alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives until 2003, after the Homeland Security Act of 2002. So that's interesting. I mean, Steve Jackson is like, he's on point, man. He's better than Nostradamus, if you ask me. A little more on the ATF and the history of the ATF. The Ruby Ridge incidents, they had a hand in that. Waco, the massacre at Waco, they had a hand in that. And more recently, the ATF's Fast and the Furious scandal, where they've been, you know, giving guns to these Mexican cartels, and they've just been losing track of guns that supposedly were there so that they could track criminals. Now they've lost the guns, so not only are they not able to track the criminals, they can't even track the guns. So it's a big mess there. The truck bomb, this card is kind of hinting to yet another ATF accused incident here. If you actually go back and do research on the Oklahoma City bombing, and if you know anything about it, the reason why it happened is because Timothy McVeigh wanted to pay back the FBI and the ATF basically for what happened at Waco. But not a single FBI agent or not a single ATF agent was in that building when that bomb went off. The only people who were there were the kids and the civilian staff. It's almost like they knew it was going to happen, or they actually planned it. One of the two. It's one of the two. It can't be anything else. They either knew it was going to happen, or they're the ones that planned it and had Timothy McVeigh be his patsy. It's the only two ways that it could be. I thought this was interesting. I usually don't share mainstream articles, but this was definitely interesting. The Boston Marathon explosion, Waco raid, and Oklahoma City bombing all happened in April. So if we have any bombings in next month, we know exactly who did it. But I thought that was interesting because Waco is not even a bombing incident. The Boston Marathon was, and the Oklahoma City was, but Waco is just kind of, it's like one of those things that just doesn't, which one is not like the other. Anyways, here's the jogger's card. So it's another play on ATF. No one ever suspects a harmless jogger. And while I'm on this, I like to point out that 4chan had a huge uncovering of this. They have so much surveillance from all the pictures that were taken, and they've done a comparison of the book bag that was left and book bags that were on people's shoulders, and apparently this was very organized. If you go back and look at those pictures, you'll see that, and they definitely don't have the right guys in custody. So again, that kind of hints that this was another inside job. Alright, next we're going to talk about the NSA, and basically, we've all known that the NSA has been around long before Snowden. I don't know why people put that man on a pedestal. Like I've said 100 times over, if it gets in the mainstream media, it was planned to. Again, why would we need somebody to tell us something that we already know and that everybody else has already told us? Phone companies. Phone company is capable of highly sophisticated traffic analysis on all calls and can access any computer connected to the net. And I got a huge debate with this guy talking about Tor, Onion, all this. You're anonymous, you're anonymous. I keep telling this guy that, are you borrowing your modem? Are you renting your modem through the phone company? Do you get your internet through the phone company? Well, then nothing you do is anonymous. Everything is, they have access to your actual, right there in your house. They have access to, there's nothing that comes in and there's nothing that goes out without them knowing, basically. So don't sit here and tell me you're anonymous, you're not. The Clipper chip. This has gotten some popularity here recently with foreign spying on people who aren't even in the U.S. The card reads, all government groups in your power structure gain the ability to listen in on phone conversations worldwide. Only for legitimate law enforcement, of course. Yeah, of course. And I actually looked this up, and it was a real thing. In the Clinton administration, on April 16th of 1998, introduced this Clipper chip. And I want you to know that IBM is the one that introduced this, and they called it the Lucifer chip. Come on, man, really? I mean, you could have called it anything. You called it the Lucifer chip. You got people looking at you now. Oh my. And IBM is one of those corporations who's absolutely evil. I don't know if y'all have seen the RFID commercial put out by IBM, but it was put out about 10, maybe 15 years ago, of a criminal looking guy walking out of the checkout without paying, and he's being stopped by a police officer, and the police officer is handing him his receipt as he's walking out the door, and he's not paying for anything that he's taken. So obviously that has to deal with purchasing things without actually using money. So IBM's been in this for a long time. I'll leave a link for that commercial in the description, as well as all these links, so that you can go ahead and do some research for yourself. And don't just stop and limit yourself with what I've already uncovered. Go and find your own stuff. Moving on, the info bond. Basically what this card is saying is that it gives you the power for defense, but it does not count towards goals. So I'm thinking that this is has something to do with censorship. And of course we had the CISPA, the SOPA, the PIPA, and all that good stuff, which is leading to a censored United States of America. Computer security. This card is actually basically the NSA in a nutshell. And a lot of people have forgot about this. This was actually covered on mainstream news. Room 641A is a telecommunications interception facility operated by AT&T for the U.S. national security agency that commenced operation in 2003. Again, Snowden didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. For those of you who want to do your own research and your own homework, I will leave links. Don't worry. Now, some people are saying that this is Snowden. I don't know, but I do know that the fact that he was on mainstream media just shows that he is an agent. He's not. You're not. I've done this 100 times. I'm going to put this up again. 6 media giants control 90% of what we read, watch, and listen to. And if you see the same story all across all the major networks, odds are it's not the truth. That's right. Spy satellites. And I know this is not directly tying in with the NSA, but I have a question. I really do. These spy satellites can zoom in on a penny in your ashtray in your car and tell you the date that's on that penny, but you can somehow lose a passenger jet in Malaysia? Yeah, I don't think so. First of all, if you believe the mainstream story of that this guy's got simulators and this, that, and the other, I'm afraid you've been deceived. These people have not lost this plane. They know exactly what happened to this plane. I don't know exactly what happened to this plane, but they know exactly what happened to this plane. We got cell phones. Excuse me. We got cell phones. We could be pinging off cell phone towers to find out where this plane is. I mean, there's limitless options to find this plane or the people who were on this plane. And yet it's just a big mystery. No, it's not. Horse crap. Again, I know this doesn't have anything to do with NSA, but it is a satellite, so let's go ahead and throw it up there. And I've already covered this in another video. I've covered this in the 666 video. Orbit 1, it says on the bottom, Space Science Computer. It shows a picture of a satellite hovering over what appears to be Earth. So what could that be? Well, Orbit 1 launches satellite-based RFID service. And what this basically is a satellite that can track RFID tags. And it says right here the tags are aerospace, asset tracking, and defense. Keyword here, defense. So we know what that's going to end up turning into. And down here, they always do this. Our technology was originally developed for emergency response, but now it's going to be used to track your ass. I don't know why they didn't just say that, because that's how they operate. Everything that has potential for good, they just turn around and use it for evil. So that's basically that. I've covered that in, like I said, my 666 video, which I also covered the barcodes. The barcode card says they're on everything: price tags, airline baggage, the backs of highway signs. You can't read them, but someone can, and I pretty much broke that down for you. But in case you need some more guidance on that, these are what each number looks like on a barcode individually, and this is what a barcode looks like. If you see that the 6s are the exact code of the spacers, and there's 3 spacers on each barcode. If you'll notice, see this 0 here? This is what a 0 looks like. Solid line, space, bar, solid line, space, bar, solid line, space, bar. And these are what the 6s look like. So that kind of breaks it down for you. I meant to throw this in there earlier with the IBM story. They had a great hand in the Holocaust in Germany, so I thought you should know that. And I'm going to end this video with the ATF doing what they do best: blowing stuff up. Thanks for listening.